It's time for Gun and Saddle, a United Country M. Edwards Realty and Auction weekly broadcast where we talk about anything and everything related to our God-fearing country lifestyles and the blood, sweat, and tears that it takes to make them possible. Join Monty Edwards and Carrie Hanlon as they take a deeper look at the land we all love and the people that call it home. This is Gun and Saddle.
Well, here we are. We're back again. Sorry we missed you guys last week, but we're back with another episode of Gun and Saddle. And today I have sitting with me a person that's dear and near to my heart, my daughter Madeline. I'll probably call her Maddie Edwards at least 3 or 4 times during this broadcast because I still consistently forget to call her by her last name, which is Maddie Smart. But she's sitting in today for Carrie because she had some other obligations and couldn't be with us today. Maddie's usually sitting over on the side, but thanks for joining us, Maddie.
Glad to be here.
All right. As I mentioned, her last name is Smart, so I thought I would ask her to say something smart here on the air to start out the show. So, Maddie, what do you have to say that's intelligent or smart?
Probably not a lot. This one goes out to my math teacher. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I don't remember what that equation is called, but I remember the equation. So,
well, I am really impressed. I didn't really know you were going to do that. So,
Miss a notch for you.
Listen, we're really excited to have y'all here today. And one of the things that I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about, a couple of weeks ago, we had a broadcast where we had a 4-person panel. We talked with Margaret Byfeld, Vaughn Box, and Steve Friskup around private property owner rights. And we mentioned to you guys that they were going to be having a 30 by 30 land conference, or Stop 30 by 30 land conference this last week in Irving. And I believe that conference, having talked to Vaughn, was a huge success. There was a lot of good information at that conference for anybody that wants to know more. And it's my understanding that over the next week or two, they're going to be posting some of the conference material, some of the conference broadcasts and things that we had going on, or they had going on. They're going to have those where we can get to them online. So as soon as we get those resources up and running or I hear about it, I want to be sure and share that with our Gun and Saddle audience. I think it's something that you guys would find interesting. Another thing that Vaughn shared with me last night was a link to, and I've got this here so I don't get it wrong, but it was a link to a premiere of a documentary that came out. They actually premiered it during the conference. And the documentary's title is No Farmers, No Food, Will You Eat the Bugs? And it was done by Epic Times. It's out there that you can watch this free online. And so if you guys are interested in that, we can get you a link. Matter of fact, we'll go back in our description link and add a link to this premiere. So if you have any interest in that, that's out there. Just wanted to kind of catch you up on that because there's been some things that have gone on in the last couple of weeks. Let's talk a little bit about things that are going on here locally in our community. I know here in Sudan, next week we're supposed to have a sit-in or a person join us for a little bit. Melanie Harper's supposed to be with us to tell us about the Education Foundation dinner and auction. So excited to have her come in and talk to us about that next week.
Yeah, it's a big event they put on every year. So I'm sure she's got lots of information for anybody that has any questions and just details over the event at hand.
Yeah, what they're going to be doing with that too is they're going to have an auction. They're going to also, I believe, have it this year over it. I believe they're having it. I don't want to get this wrong, so confirm this before you just head over there. But they're going to have it at Muleshoe. So they're going to have it at a venue where they're going to actually do a little bit more than they've been doing. So I think that'll be exciting. Another thing that I know is coming up this fall that I dearly love, kind of titled the podcast or video podcast today, the best time of the year, because we're coming into a time of the year that I know a lot of you guys are getting primed for hunting. We've already had a start to a dove season this year. I know there were a lot of dove around for a little bit. We've had some weather that's moved them in and out a little bit. I haven't actually got a chance to hunt any dove this year, but I've talked to some guys that have had some really good luck hunting the dove. But we're on the front end of what I think promises to be a really good deer hunting season. And so, we're really excited about that. I know we're listing a couple of properties. We've got one that's going up this week that we're going to have. We actually caught some deer out on the property. So if you get a chance, go look at our real estate listing videos. We were able to actually fly the drone right over some deer. And it was really cool because a lot of times those deer don't let you get real close to them with the drone. But Maddie got to edit some of that video. We were able to get really close, weren't we?
You were. Yeah. No, they were hopping and running around. They were cute. I'm probably not looking at that the right perspective, I guess.
Well, and I don't know how many we've got out there joining us right now, but if you are joining us and there's something about fall that you love, send us make a comment if you're on Facebook or YouTube or I think we're getting comments that'll feed through on Facebook and YouTube primarily. But if you've got something about the fall, about this time of year that you love, one of the things that I really do love about this time of the year is just where we're at with our climate. We've had a really hot summer and we've had a lot of weather where it's just been hard to get away from the heat. But even when we have bad heat, we're pretty lucky. But we got a comment here from Mitzi Dutton. She's asking, Mitzi Dutton Bennett saying, are the deer in the sandhills? The actual deer on this video that we're going to show are not in the sandhills. They're on a CRP track. But of course, yeah, there are a lot of the deer right now that are still held up in the sandhills. And a lot of times what we'll see, with these deer is they're going to move to food and water. And when we get to the winter, the water becomes a little bit of a trickier deal for the deer because a lot of these farmers that are watering in the summer, not all of them are watering in the fall. So you can pattern these deer a lot of times over food and drink. So
if you want a good example of some of the deer in the sandhills, just always come down to our office. You will see plenty of them on the walls.
Yeah, over the years, of course, we have some land that butts up against the sandhills, and we've had a lot of fun as family, going out and hunting. And, it's just fun to get out in nature and get out there and see those animals in the wild. I will tell you that it just looks like what I was alluding to a while ago. Looks like we should see some really nice animals this year. We had a good wet period at the start of the summer that grew up a lot of browse and a lot of cover for these deer. It got pretty hot in the middle of the summer, but I don't think they ever got to a point where they were hurting too much for food. And now we've moved into the fall. We had a little wet spell a week or so ago, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more wet weather this month. But deer hunting is something that's in my blood. I started doing it with my son when he was young, and then took both my kids and we went out and we hunted. But I think the biggest thing that we enjoyed about it was just getting to spend time together out in the nature and doing things like that. Maddie, I love that expression.
I feel
online
like
for everybody.
I feel like what you're not talking about is the many times you made me come sit on that little stool in between you and Mitch's big old reclining spin chairs while y'all took a nap and I got to stay awake to look for deer. That was my... And
see, guys, this is how you know this show is live, because that was not planned for her to tell you guys that. I do not have a recliner in my deer blind.
Not a recliner, but like an office spin chair. A comfortable chair. I was on the little stool. Y'all were on the comfy chairs.
Yeah. But in all honesty, lots of fun with the kids. I can remember watching them fall asleep when they got bored and tired sometimes when we're sitting there waiting and they're wanting to know, when can we go eat? When can we go do this? But we had a lot of fun. And, the other thing about this time of year that's neat, and it's kind of cool, is we have a lot of people that come back out here in this part of the world that are from here originally because they come out to hunt. And we'll have guys coming in the fall. We'll see guys coming in around Thanksgiving because our mule deer season here has expanded last year to a 3-weekend season. But it also, and quote your rules in each county, but in some of these counties, I believe that opened up the possibility to even do some bow hunting in October. So always check that in each county before you go out and hunt. But the neat thing is that we've got a lot of variety in game here. When I had the guys in a couple of years ago that came in and filmed the Realty Hunt United show that we did, Slade Priest and Ryan Wascom and their camera crew, they were really taken back by the fact that we had so many options for hunting between our migratory birds. We've got really good geese and crane hunting here. We've got mule deer hunting. We've got, in some of these counties, like Lamb County, actually got whitetail hunting now. And not to mention outstanding quail hunting, and are opening up the season with great dove hunting. So there's lots of things that come aboard, and it all cranks up in the fall. And not to mention another thing that cranks up in the fall that we all love, or I'd say we, but a lot of people do love, is football.
You can
know?
say you. It's
Yeah,
okay. We know.
It's me, but I think a lot of people share that. I've noticed a lot of packed stadiums. We get into this time of the year and it starts getting a little crisp in the mornings, and you get that feeling there, and you're ready to go watch a good football game. And we got a lot of good football hopefully coming up this fall. Now, this weekend was probably not
a great weekend for
not if you're a Tech
teams.
fan or a Cowboy fan. I
I
fall in both those buckets. So had a little bit of adversity there, but really just overall, a lot of things that come up in the fall. I always think about family when we get into the fall. That's another thing I love about the fall is family, because when we get into the fall, it seems like we come together. We have lots of reasons to get together. Thanksgiving, it just seems like at our house there's a lot of, well, you're not going to tell this by looking at me, but a lot of good food, some good eating. That's another thing I love about the fall. But, that's why today, if you're listening and you've got some things that you want to share with us that the fall kind of stirs up in you, that reminds you of things that you look forward to, I don't think I'm the only one, because I notice they always start trying to serve the pumpkin spice stuff.
Oh, that's a basic person's favorite time of year. You got the pumpkin spice coming out.
Another thing about the fall that I just thought about that's great and that's going on right now, the fair.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
I mean, you got to go eat a corn dog, a turkey leg.
Advice on that this year, and I think you learned it the hard way last year. We're big fair people. My dad especially for the food. I mean, that's why you go. Eat the turkey leg when you get the chance, because you might pass it off thinking, oh, it's too expensive. And then you're going to come back later. They did sell out last year, the day we were there. So if you want a turkey leg, hop on that.
Something else I'll point out about those turkey legs, they get more expensive the deeper into the carnival area you get, because I passed up on the ones are out when you come in. Line was really long. That's where the best turkey legs are, I think. But
so strategize before you go to the
fair. And
fair.
you've got to have a strategy when you go in there, because you've got to be able to get a turkey leg, a foot-long corn dog, possibly a fried cheese, and then if you can work in at least a funnel cake, and possibly some cotton candy.
I'll say that, I don't know about the cotton candy. I'll say this. They've had a good fried pie stand at the Lubbock Fair the last few years. I always try to hit up and get a fried pie while I'm there too. So, I mean, anything fried there, it's going to be a good time. You might throw up later or feel like the worst person in the world.
Well, and touching on another thing about the fair that I think is a really cool deal, and I tie this back to the days when we were going and hauling to stock shows as well. When you get to these fair environments, one of the neat things about them is it is a place for people to come out and see some things around agriculture. Mm-hmm. You have the ag mechanics projects that get brought to the fair. Not to mention, I can remember when we used to be in ag, one of the things that's kind of a forgotten thing, I think sometimes, is that people bring in their harvest things and have them judged, their baked goods, a lot of things like that. And that's over in the area of the fair that a lot of people may not go to and walk through. But, man, you really have a good chance. If your kids are not able to get out and get in the fields and get around agriculture, they can walk through the stock show barns, see some of that. They have some really good stock shows at the fair. I mean, a lot of these prospects that are going to be showing there that you'll get to see. You've got the jackpot hogs. People, a lot of times have some really good animals that this is the off season for some of those. These don't go to Houston and San Antonio and all with the pigs. So you're getting to see sometimes some really good ones right there in Lubbock, Texas that are shown. And if you enjoy that kind of stuff, which I kind of do, it's pretty interesting. There's just a lot going on there and a lot to do. So I just, the fair is just one of those things that I've always really liked. But, I don't know if you've got something that you love about the fall, then you understand that crisp morning air and that feeling in the afternoons. I mean, just sitting out this weekend, I put our climate in October and September on those good days with anywhere in the country. It's just, it's the sweet moments that we get to enjoy, because, there's other times during the year where we're eating dirt and have a few things that we're dealing with. But, man, it's just so nice when we're able to go and enjoy that. We were able to sit on our patio some this weekend, cook out a little bit, and it's just really good. If you haven't done that, I'd encourage you not to forget to do it, because this is a time of year that it's really, really, really a good time to do it. So, this is the time on the show. Maddie, I actually thought about titling this things that make you think and things that tick you off. But it's not always about things that tick us off. But today I want to talk about a controversial subject. Maddie's going, don't go there, Dad. She doesn't even know what I'm going to talk about because I haven't told her. But I want to talk about this term that we've heard so many times here in the last year. I mean, I've heard it till actually I'm kind of sick of hearing about it. But
yet you're going to talk about it.
But I'm going to talk about it because I want us to think about this term. I want us to actually really break it down for a second. Artificial intelligence.
Oh, gosh.
Artificial intelligence. We get these things, and, I work in marketing, selling land and selling real estate. So we're always looking for the buzz. What's the word? What's the new trendy thing? What are people listening to? How are things working? Well, right now, unless your head's in the sand, you realize that you're hearing everything about AI, artificial intelligence. Now, coming from the ag sector, AI meant something else for us totally the whole time. So I had to get my head wrapped around that first. But what is AI? Well, I would like to just ask you this question. Is something that is artificial more valuable or less valuable than something that's genuine?
I mean, we've had this conversation on multiple occasions.
We've had it a lot. But the question I want to pose to our audience today, are we losing something here in this realm where we're at now, where we're actually starting to put more value on things because of the end product appearance versus what it really is, like the genuineness and what it really took to create it?
I think it's important to remember that knowledge, learning how to do something is a skill. It's important. We're going into an age where, and I mean, we've already kind of been in that age where everything's so easy. It's accessible at the touch of your fingers on a phone. I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of time on how to figure out something. YouTube is the best teacher right now. I mean, I say that all the time. Like, I have figured out how to do so many things. I just go to YouTube. I'm still learning how to do that though. But now we're getting to a point where you're not having you're not having to spend that time. You're not having to, and like you said, it's the I can't talk today. The genuineness of what you're doing, what you're creating. Me as a photographer, for me, my Instagram page, all that, I follow a bunch of different artists, photographers, writers, things as such. That's my feed all the time. And it's a gift. And it's something that they learn to go do with their hands, and they take the time to do that. They put the money, they put the hours into it. And I know that that's not easy for everyone to do, but there are people that have done that. And so I think I love things that are made by our human hands. And like I said, I know where things like AI can come in handy with certain advances and stuff, but I do think it's important to remember, when you're looking to hire out or anything like that, because I've already heard, and I'm not going to go into specifics, but I've already heard people say, well, I don't need to hire anyone to do this. I can just get Chat GPT or GT, whatever order that's in, to do it for me. And it was to create a logo. I have friends that are graphic designers, that they look for jobs like that. And it's important to remember people that understand you better too, that you're going to get a product that's built for you, not just from some basic words you put in the internet.
And we get to my question that I want to make you think about, because we get to this thing that on its face even is labeled artificial. And I can promise you, when I was buying my wife her wedding ring when I was getting ready to get married, that I could have bought her a perfect stone and it could have been man-made and she wouldn't have had any use for it, because the value of a diamond is that it's got flaws. The value of that is that it's created in nature. It's natural. Now, is there value to the others? Sure. Can you use those things? Do they have value? Absolutely. Are artificial things, is there a place for those where we can use them in certain things? But I think what we're witnessing right now is where we're being told to accept something that we know is not the way it should be. We're being told, and I say we, I don't know really who's saying this, but I kind of think I'm going to get to it before we get through this.
Oh, gosh.
We're being told to accept on its face that something artificial is better than something genuine, even though the artificial is trying to emulate and copy the genuine. And I will tell you, it all goes back to your mindset and your worldview. If you believe that we are evolving into something better instead of coming from something greater, then that's something that kind of makes sense to you. But if you believe that you came from something greater, and I'm not trying to be non-specific, I believe I came from my Creator, then I believe that every capacity that we have is given to us by God. You talked about being gifted. So what I do see with AI is people that are able to do this want you to have value in it because they're trying to sell it. They're trying to sell the use of it with their computers and with their technology so that you use that instead of cultivating those skills. And the danger in it, and this is what I want to make us think about, is if we lose our abilities to do certain things and we depend on technology and those things to do it, and we don't continue to, as a discipline, teach ourselves how to do those things, future generations will lose that. Those skills and trades and crafts that we have, that we pass down, that we learn, photography, building cabinets, farming, all these different things that we know how to do, training horses, being able to do any of it. You can look at some of these things today and you may feel safe because you say, well, they can't do what I'm doing. But look at what they can do now that they couldn't do 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Maddie was showing me some photography stuff that was AI generated and putting it right next to really good photography. And you really, if you weren't a trained photographer, probably at this point couldn't see it. 5 years from now, probably a trained photographer may not be able to tell the difference. Mm-hmm. But how are they even creating that stuff? They're creating it by copying things that were already done before. And they're trying to say that's what we do as humans when we create, but that's not what we do exactly. We don't copy. We take something that somebody else did and then we do our own thing. Mm-hmm. And, this is the one thing I want you to think about. Did we not get in trouble growing up through school for plagiarizing?
Yes.
And is this not just a heightened and better form of plagiarizing? Because in 9 million ways, that computer is copying 9 million things and putting them all together, but yet it is still copying somebody else's work. Mm-hmm. Maddie knows I can go deep on this, but my point with this is, look, AI is not going away tomorrow. It's around. It's going to be a part of what we do. But remember this, there is a value in something being genuine. Mm-hmm. And if you're somebody that knows how to do something and you know how to do it well, don't just fall over and think that you've got to roll over and start doing things with AI. Because AI, hey, got a comment here from Mitzi. She shared this. She said, absolutely. And I appreciate her sounding off on that. But don't be afraid to hold your line and say, look, I believe in what I can do and I'm going to continue to do it the way I was taught. I think back you right at the start when we were joking around, but you threw out something you learned in math. And I think back to my granddad, something he used to share with me, because I remember in our office we had in our barn, it had that insulation that was put in it, that has farmers use it as a writing pad because he would write notes in there. But he would go in there when we were doing all kinds of stuff and he would do his math on the wall. And I can go back there today and look in that barn. My brother lives out there in that house and that barn behind him. And I can go look at work my grandfather did, probably calculating seed per acre and all kinds of stuff, tons per acre, trying to figure out yields and what they made on farms. But he knew how to do math. We know how to do math, but calculators have made us lean on. How many times have you went to do basic math in your head and you got to grab your phone because you carry a calculator with you every day?
Yeah, number sense did not stick with me from school.
Well, and these are simple things. And so the argument always is, well, I can do more if I embrace this. And I know that that's going to be the argument with AI is that, we can accomplish and do all these greater things, but don't do that at the expense of losing our foundations. Because our foundations are what we build on. And you can't build a good building if you don't build on a solid foundation. And so today, just wanted to make you think. We went pretty deep today in that. But if you got any comments on any of this, put them in the videos if they're not live. We'd love to see some comments going after we post these videos because they'll be up on YouTube and Facebook. But, I really want us to think about the fact that when something's artificial versus genuine, which one should be the most valuable?
And I will say this, and not necessarily everybody, but like I said, I follow a bunch of artists. This became a huge thing this year, is that they had people messaging them, telling them, well, they were asking, quote unquote, they weren't asking. They were using their work that they created from their own hands, from their own mind, and were putting it in AI to create their own type of art. They called it like AI plus, them adding a few little effects to it or things like that. And that is theft. Just a FYI, you're not supposed to do that. But you are starting to see things like that too, where there are, and I'm not saying all of it, I'm saying some of that is that's stolen work that you're seeing play into some of these creations from it. And so I can go on a long spiel and all that, but it is like you said, it's something to think about. It's something to keep in mind. I know there's a lot of people that are probably like, oh, y'all are huge.
Well, it's real similar to the conversation we had the other day with Margaret Byfield, though, talking about climate all this stuff. If we accept that carbon has got a monetary value, if we call it pollution instead of vital to plants to live because they use carbon, if we start shifting these paradigms and then we begin to accept these things, then that's what becomes the accepted conventional wisdom. So what can we do about this? Ask for things to be genuine. Put value in things that are genuine. Be willing to say, no, I want the one created by a human. Mm-hmm. Because actually, it's not that we're fighting robots. It's not like the Transformer movies and all that, or the Terminator. No, what we're fighting is laziness. Honestly, we're fighting the easy button. And if we're not careful at the expense of having to, we're going to be in a point where we won't even have the option to work hard at something because you won't know how to do it. Your grandkids won't know how to do a lot of the things that you learned from your grandparents. So, I think that kind of fits in our motive with what we are at Gun and Saddle, trying to preserve a lot of what we think is good out in this part of the world and in other places like it. And so I just wanted to talk about that today. This brings us to the last part of our show today. This is always the part Maddie really looks forward to. And so she doesn't cheat. She's going to be facing...
I already told you this earlier. I don't cheat.
This isn't about winning, but she's going to do the trivia. Now, you folks that are out there in the audience, feel free to join in.
My last name...
If you're consistent and you come in on every one of the questions, you can actually beat Maddie today at trivia.
Oh, now.
This is Maddie Smart, who was spouting off all the wise math equation stuff at the first.
Smart. So, emphasis on the smart part.
All right. So Carrie Deersing's laughing online.
She always says I cheat. I do not cheat.
Carrie's actually online, so she could be taking you on from the audience today, Maddie. Okay, so we're going to come in on question number 7.
Number 7?
Yeah, well, I've got these questions I put together. Nobody gets to see these but me. Which country held the 2016 Summer Olympics?
Brazil.
Well, let me give the answers.
Sorry.
Actually, we're going to take that question out of the mix because you broke protocol. That question does not count, and we're going to move forward. You are correct, but you're not getting credit.
Okay, sorry.
Because you nullified it with the rest of the audience. The next question, which will be our first question. Which planet is the hottest? A, Venus, B, Saturn, C, Mercury, or D, Mars? Once again, A, Venus, B, Saturn, C, Mercury, or D, Mars? Carrie said because she's not there.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the order of the planets.
Well, this is about which one's the hottest, not which one's first.
But which one's the closest to the sun, right?
That might not necessarily be the one that's the hottest. I don't know.
I want to say Mercury, but I also want to say Mars.
Okay. So what is your answer?
Oh, gosh.
It's A, Venus, B, Saturn, C, Mercury, or D, Mars.
D, Mars, lock it in. I don't know. That's probably wrong.
Oh, I forgot my sound effects. I had this as a surprise for you guys today.
I got it wrong then, didn't I?
You did get it wrong. Does anybody else have a guess out there? Okay, if nobody does, the correct answer is A, Venus.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. So our next question, who was the only U.S. president to resign? And I know most of you guys, this was kind of the softball question of the day. Is it A, Herbert Hoover, B, Richard Nixon, C, George W. Bush, or D, Barack Obama? The question wasn't which one did we wish would resign. It's the one which one did resign. So is it out of those 4, A, Herbert Hoover, B, Richard Nixon, C, George W. Bush? All right, Ben Wyford comes in with B for Richard Nixon.
Oh, yeah, Nixon.
Maddie's going to say B for Richard Nixon. All right, so the score right now is 1-1 because we've got a head-to-head going on between Mr. Ben Wyford and Maddie Smart. Okay, what does the D in D-Day stand for? And I'm going to be honest with you. I question this answer, but it's what they said is right. Is it A, dooms, B, dark, C, day, or D, Dunkirk?
I wasn't in.
What is the D in D-Day stand for?
So it's Dooms, Dark, Day, or Dunkirk.
That's correct.
I'm going with Dark because, I mean...
Wyford says he's got his answer. He says Dunkirk.
I mean, I've never heard it called that, but I don't know.
Okay, so you got to make an answer here. What
I said
say?
one.
You said, which one did you say? Dunes?
No, I said Dark.
Dark. Okay. Well, I want to question this answer because I thought Ben was right, but the answer key on this, which I didn't have time to go check it before, says day.
Day Day?
Day Day.
Day Day.
Day Day.
Day
So
Day.
we're going to have an inquiry on that one. I actually did kind of think it was Dunkirk.
Okay, see, that's why I went with Dark because I was like, that
I'd
seems
actually
like
heard some
not
people
the right
say before
answer.
Doomsday.
Well, I mean, I've always heard Doomsday. but it
But
wasn't
actually,
right.
the key says D-Day.
Okay.
So right now we're going to call that a non-answer by either party, but we're going to confirm. I do think Ben might have a chance that he may have that one.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's
Okay.
fine. I went with Dark for the reason you made it seem like that.
Because
was
I questioned the
unlikely.
answer on our answer key. All right, next question. And this will be our next to last question. Yes, that's right. Okay. In which city will you find the Liberty Bell? Is it A, Washington, D.C., B, Boston, C, Philadelphia, or D, Manhattan?
C, Philadelphia.
Maddie says C, Philadelphia. Now, Ben's currently coming in. He says C, Philadelphia. So we're not going to have a tiebreaker on this one. Actually, anyway, the correct answer is C, Philadelphia. So good job, guys. That was good. Our next question and the last question. In Pirates of the Caribbean, well, didn't we already do a Pirates of the Caribbean? No, we did a Harry Potter.
We did a
one.
Harry
Okay.
Potter.
In Pirates of the Caribbean, what was Captain Jack Sparrow's mother's name? No, I'm kidding. It wasn't her mother's name. It's ship's name. Is it A, the Marauder, B, the Black Pearl, C, the Black Python, or D, the Slytherin?
I'm letting Ben answer first before I give mine.
Ben's laughing.
What order was it again, did you say?
Okay, I said, was it the Marauder?
It's the Black Pearl, right?
The Black Pearl. You and Ben both got that. So I'm going to assume that the answer about day is wrong. I believe that technically puts us in a tie. So we're going to have a tiebreaker question. And I think if y'all both don't get this, we're probably going to be in a tie when it's over. But my tiebreaker question this time is not that hard. Tiebreaker question. According to Forrest Gump, life was like, no choice. You get to answer this one without any options. Life was like what?
A box of chocolates. You never know what you're
Now,
going to
Ben,
get.
do you? Yeah, I think Ben says get trivia from some good movies.
That is a good movie, Ben. Where have you been?
He says box of chocolates as well. So we ended the day in a tie, unless Ben is vindicated when I go do some research on that answer about Dunkirk. So we're gonna leave that. We want to thank everybody for taking part in that was listening. Before we wrap up, just a couple of items. I'm looking for somebody that would be willing to come in on our video podcast from time to time and be remote, that would like to just give us some feedback. We've got a little remote link that we can send out on your phone. If you have an interest in doing some of that, what we'd like to do is just get you out in the field, get you out in some location-based stuff. I'm looking for someone that would be interested in even bringing suggestions to us when we put some of our people out doing some community interest stories, because we would like to bring that in as an aspect of what we're doing here on Gun and Saddle. So next week, this is really supposed to happen next week. I've got assurance from Mr. Gandy that we're going to be able to pull this off. We're going to get him in. We're going to should have someone in talking about the Education Foundation banquet for next week. And then also, hopefully, I'll be able to give you my update and wrap up on how well the fair dining went, because I'm planning on going to the fair this week, and I'll let you know about all the good food that I took part in. So anyway, guys, this was kind of just a trivial week. We didn't have a special guest in this week. Next week, we do plan on doing that. We look forward to you guys coming on next week for our next episode.
Wait, hold on.
Wait. Oh, Maddie has something here. Okay.
You didn't have I am the special guest.
No, you're not the special guest.
Well,
you're just the guest.
I feel special.
Well, you are kind of special, actually.
Oh, gosh.
So we'll call Maddie our special guest, quote unquote special. Anyway. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. See us next week on our next episode, of Gun and Saddle.